Metafix is a show that teaches you how to think in the metagame. I am not here to give you the answers, nor am I going to tell you how to win. Metafix teaches you how to play in the metagame and how to react around the metagame and what is in the metagame. If you're looking for the answers, try HC Realms, check the forums, they have all kinds of neat toys and tools and teams being brought up, and check the results of a lot of the ROC tournaments or any Worlds tournaments to see how teams played out and what teams were used for. I'm just here to help you think.
The power couple got a set. Pretty good set. There's some stuff worth talking about. So, of course, whenever a set comes out, the Metafix has to tell you guys what figures stand out in Superman, Wonder Woman. Now, I want to go into this episode with this thought. I am future-proofing this episode. So, there's some figures here that will actually get better come July when some sets have been rotated out. So, bear with the episode as I am kind of looking ahead on some of these characters and also looking to the present as well. But let's start with the biggest eyesores in the set, and that's the Colossals. Unfortunately, the one I want to talk the most about, I haven't got my hands on yet, and that is the Superman Batman robot. In the 300-point metagame, you're looking at the retaliation dial, a 25-point bomb that will blow up in your opponent's face, and has an 11 attack, 18 defense with invulnerable, the Superman team ability and the Batman team ability. Both are very good team abilities for characters with, Calculator or Legion of Superheroes team ability or Spider-Man. Wild cards love this figure because it's 25 points for 2 team abilities, as well as a good set of powers that makes it's kind of like a Bizarro dial, where Bizarro is incredibly difficult to kill even at the 25-point valuation, where this character will be also incredibly difficult to take out of the game at the 25-point value. So that's kind of the one that sticks out as far as retaliation. But as well, the Atom at 15 points fits into what is a now more awesome generic keyword in Soldier. As well, he's pretty decent as far as bombing people with a 2 penetrating damage, 11 attack. That also comes with Empower when you jump in there, and Sidestep just to kind of step away and get people into the right positions to add to the counterattack that the Atom's already providing. So, Atom and the Superman Batman robot kind of stick out as far as that is concerned. Brimstone at 75 points I think is going to be one of those dials that people overlook. One of the things he brings is Sidestep. The fact that he's colossal with the new Giant Reach rules, pretty decent. 3 Giant Reach is pretty cool, but it's not going to help with his penetrating poison, which he has on his damage power. What does make him stand out is the fact that he's got that Pulse Wave power that allows him to point at a square 6 squares away within a line of fire and Pulse Wave from that square. It makes it a significantly easy attempt in order to single target Pulse Wave. You know what else it allows you to do? Enhance. You can put an enhancer beside him. He can throw that Pulse Wave, and if you can mark a single target on that, because the 1 damage locked is not going to do any good when you're enhancing, but if you can lock down a single target with that, holy smokes, can you do a lot of potential damage with that. He already comes with 3, make it a 6, up to 6 with 3 enhancers, and you're talking about, basically with him as a Pulse Waver at a distance, you can get bonuses you don't normally get or are afraid to attempt to get with a normal Pulse Wave. Titano at 250 is going to be now, of course, when I talk about the Colossals, they're no good for the ROC limited format. We got to get that out of the way right now. You can only use anything peanut base or smaller, which is 2 bases, the double base or smaller. So double base or single base. So unfortunately, these Colossals are not going to be a factor in that. That said, I got a giant monkey in my hand. Spank the monkey. At 250 points, he fits into the metagame. Throw on a yellow power battery, throw on in order to make him incredibly difficult to hit. Now, unfortunately, because he's colossal, Unfortunately, he doesn't come with Indomitable. Fortunately, though, he's a Colossal, and we'll just keep pushing anyway. And also, fortunately, he's got a fat dial for 250 points. In fact, give me a second. You got to get him to click number 24 with a stop click at click 23. You have to deal a ton of damage to this monkey in order to get him off the board, which is why the Star Sapphire battery comes to mind as far as trying to, accept the fact that he is going to get hit. He's got a lot of dial to go through, but if he can deal some mystics along the way, why not? And his dial does stay kind of relatively consistent. as well. I wish, to a certain degree, that lowest lane was 44 points, so you can get a minimal Star Sapphire battery out of it and not be at 301 points. That's not the case, unfortunately, but, you know, a monkey with a sniper rifle would be amazing. He's already got 5 range, and he would be a nightmare for a lot of players to deal with. Now, we get into the small stuff. And don't sweat the small stuff. Now, when I said future-proofing, right now the Lantern Core entities from the War of Light are still incredibly useful. Their ability to add a keyword, they no longer break theme. They're just better in some manners and less good in other manners. You won't see them on tiny figures like Adara, or you won't see the Despidara combo anymore. Rest in peace, Despidara. And I think we're all caught up with the episodes that mention that combination of things, so we have that going for us. But there are 2 new possessors, or entities, if you want to call them that, for simplification sakes. That's the word I was looking for. We got Brainiac in the chase slot and Eclipso in the super rare slot. Now, I'm kind of glad that Eclipso sits in the super rare slot, because nothing is worse than only having chase possessors or entities. So having one in the super rare slot makes them attainable, keeps the value somewhat lower. Brainiac's still going to hit a high value because people love possession. Both of them are good. Brainiac comes with a solid set of powers that are worth adding on to a lot of characters. As well, he's got a really neat special power that can help you take tokens off of the possessed character later on, or himself if he happens to be on the board. And 150 points is not the worst either. Eclipso is more likely to stay on the board, or off the board, unfortunately, and that Mystic Steam ability is just, it's a wish that you could play with it. But he does come with some shape change, some precision strike, eventually some mind control. Oh no, mind control is his trait. No, he's got some blades, claws, and fangs, some battle fury if you happen to be having some trouble with a particularly obnoxious shape changer. He does have some prob in the middle or the late dial, mid dial. Yeah, starting at click 5. So probability control is a good power to add. Psychic blast is a great power. Outwit, precision strike, some impervious. So depending on the character, he could do a bit of a number on people. So now that we're out of possessors, let's talk about some of the prime figures. A couple of them really stand out to me. One of which is what I like to call the turtle shell. How many times have you built a team that works fantastic when it's adjacent to everybody? But you always, at the back of your mind, you're like, energy explosion is just going to rip my team apart. How about a 100-point insurance policy? 100-point insurance policy in Superman Red. In addition, so you can play him at 120, 175, or 100. I'd suggest 100 because adding to your turtle protection, he does have enhancement. As well, he can break from your turtle and charge, use some force blast to knock a guy into a wall or off of a building, or if that situation is not so good, charge, hit the guy really hard, and then stick around until next turn, and then start pulse waving him. He is indomitable, which helps. He adds Superman enemy or Superman ally team ability, which allows you to see through hindering on wild cards. Basically, he's a turtle shell that can come off and, kind of like Mario, throw the turtle shell at somebody. Very cool character for protecting your turtle. Also a good protection policy, Superman Blue. I'd suggest a 50-point if you're using his insurance policy, but Amber is mocking me for doing this. He's a great figure for protecting that from that one power. How many times have you turned, yeah, but Pulse Wave's going to kill me. Yeah, Pulse Wave stops this. Pulse Wave, no! No, says Superman Blue, as long as he's adjacent to a character that's being Pulse Waved. Or he's also immune to Pulse Wave himself. And that's the damage of Pulse Wave. They are still considered targets, so if you are Pulse Waved in a multi-target Pulse Wave, it will reduce the damage to 1, and all your guys next to him and him will all be fine, but they will still be considered part of the target. It actually came up in a little while ago. Why does she keep showing up? Don't get me wrong, she's a great sealed piece, but as far as a competitive metagame, she fits in, she doesn't. Apollo probably has slightly more effect than her, mostly because if you have to rely on close combat, there's a lot of characters that'll just blow her out of the water. Nick Fury comes to mind as one. But Nick Fury's a really hard thing to get around, so I'm going to stop talking about him. Champion figures always seem to be really good lately. A lot of champions have really wanted their figure to be playable, and Faust is no exception to that. He comes with a trait where if he kills a guy or kills a character, he gets a power off the card. Awesome, until he kills another one. He's got a power on his first 2 and some later clicks, I believe. 1, 2, and... no, he doesn't. He has it on clicks 1 and 2, where he rolls 3 dice and you choose the 2 best for your result on an attack. As well, he's got a really cool movement power that when he uses sidestep, if he occupies hindering terrain, you can actually move him to another piece of hindering terrain 4 squares away. Notice how he didn't say line of fire. That's an important element. You can go poof into the middle of a building and make a shot at somebody. He doesn't care about what's in the way because he doesn't care about line of fire. And he comes with Psychic Blast and Energy Shield at the top. Depending on what you can manage to get a kill on, you get some more powers on it. Very cool figure. Thank you to the guys at Majestics for this figure. I look forward to using it in teams. So while we're also talking about other really, really well-rounded characters, let's talk about Captain Atom. At 130 points, you get some running shot, 11 attack, and 4 damage with Psychic Blast, and a power that gives him leadership and enhancement, and he's indomitable. I only said 130 points, right? That's all I said? I love Prime sometimes. Such a bargain all the time. So, in addition to that, he's got a late dial, which can still fight. Let's not kid ourselves. It's got Psychic Blast. Even though it's Earthbound, you lose the Indomitable. I'm over it. It also has Exploit Weakness, and it has a regeneration power that allows you to use it as a free action. If you roll a 1, he blows up. Now, generally, if he's in a position to be in this regeneration click, oftentimes he's in a safe place to blow up too. Now, hopefully, you haven't been relying on his enhancement too much. It's kind of a payoff that could pay off. It either pays off or it doesn't. The only roll it doesn't do anything on his regeneration is a 2. A 1 blows up, a 3 or more heals. So where's the bad thing, right? So Captain Atom's a figure to look at. He's also soldier keyword, which, you know, it's a keyword that gets a lot of bonuses. I forgot to bring General Lane down, Amber. How did I forget to bring General Lane? A character who's 40 points, adds Superman enemy team ability to all characters adjacent to him, and at 40 points he's very easily the lowest point character with the Superman enemy team ability, adjacent to a bunch of Superman enemy team abilities. Outwit for everybody, basically. Can't argue with that. Also remember, guys, Nick Fury's special can't use power is not outwit. So if you give him outwit in addition to that, bonus! And they're both soldiers. And General Lane lets you leadership soldiers of higher points off their token. Can't argue with that. Also, he's PD team ability. Did I say he was only 40 points? Just want to make sure. Speaking of low point awesomeness, how about the 5th dimensional imp, Mr. Mix's Pitlick? He's freaking amazing. Let's take it. The way he's able to mess with dice can really, really change the flow of a game. The way he works is beginning of turn, roll die. Put that die on his card. That die, you can now use that die to change the result of any die roll that can be rerolled. So you're not going to be able to save your Captain Atom from a bad roll on his regeneration, but you can make a leadership that doesn't pass if you roll a 5 or a 6, your own super senses, shape changes, etc. If you roll lower than a 5 or 6, you can stop your opponent's 5s and 6s from shape changes, super senses, leaderships. If you roll a 1, they rolled a 7 in order to hit you, well, now it's a critical miss. You gotta be careful with the timing, because if they do have probability control handy, they still get the prob after you replace, so you kinda have to play a patience game with that to make it fully work. And I guess also worth a mention is another amazing soldier, and that is Green Light. Green Light actually kind of stands out amongst the chases for me in the 300-point metagame. Him and the Wonder Woman kind of stand out, as well as the Brainiac. Unfortunately, the Wonder Woman I don't have. But she's a really awesome piece at 165 points, well-rounded, hypersonic. All the Red Sun characters except for Brainiac come with a stop click, so that's pretty amazing. Green Light's mid-dial barrier ability can really cause some heartache amongst some characters. The ability to barrier, let's say, a Colossal and turn him into standard size is brilliant. Because the way his barrier works is you put a barrier adjacent to every single square adjacent to that character, and they gain Earthbound. Watching your opponent just go, oh, when they're now Earthbound and surrounded by a barrier is priceless. In addition to which, he comes with Running Shot, Perplex, and Psychic Blast off the top. The second click comes with a higher attack with the same set of power set. And then he moves into a side step with the cool barrier power. Overall, he's a pretty solid character at 90 points. He does have that late dial stop click, which gives him super senses, and when he hits super senses, he heals, which puts him back on the barrier power. So he goes from a semi-second string attacker to a stopper character, a blocker. Worth mentioning is I have a ton of these, and I still haven't figured out how to make effective use of him. Oh, anyway, that is Superman and Wonder Woman, and how I hope it will affect the metagame. I'm often wrong with these things, I'm not gonna lie, but these are all a lot of characters that are worth some consideration, and some of them you'll see in great abundance in the future of the game. So, what are you doing with that Superman blue? The lens is over here, hon. It's electric. Oh, we're silly now. We must be tired. With that said, guys, don't forget, even though I've talked about these characters, get a chance to practice with them. Do your best with whatever teams you can come up with some of these figures. See how some of them interact with figures that already exist in the metagame. And with that said, don't forget, practice makes your team better.
The opinions and thoughts brought to you in Metafix are not meant for the casual game at the table.